Before I start the podcast, I just want to say rest in peace and happy birthday to the late great Fife Dog, representing that tribe called Quest. I know wherever you are in the universe, bro, you be peaceful, resting, and happy. Rest in power, big guy. You are listening to the Caveman Show. Hey, hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good day. It is kind of the earliest evening as I'm recording this. This is probably going to come out a little bit later on in the day than it usually does because normally I record on Monday. Today I'm recording on the Tuesday. I feel like I shift my recording schedule every week, but really it ain't all that deep. Welcome to once more. I am sat here. This is the Caveman Show. My name is Captain Caveman or just Caveman, aka the King of Respect, aka Poochie, aka a wonderful young man with bags of potential just trying to make it work out here. Yes, indeed. This is my podcast. This is pretty much what I do when I want to feel like I am calm and like I can speak to somebody. Yeah, I do not want to speak to any because I don't feel calm enough to do so. Yes, indeed. Welcome back to the therapy session. Just another set of regression. How are you doing? How are you? You, Mr. or Mrs. or someone listening. How are you? I'd like to invite you to ask yourself a few questions today, which are, what do I want? What do I need? What do I feel? And what am I? Those 4 questions, they can get you feeling, really give you a good sense of where you're sat at any particular day. Remember how fickle your emotions can be and how quickly things can change from minute to minute, hour to hour, let alone day to day, week to week. So, once you've taken the time to check in with yourself, I would like to welcome you back to another episode of my podcast. I feel great today, actually. It's been quite an easygoing day. I was feeling quite tired this morning. I'd kind of been feeling like I've been working enough for the last few days that I was just ready to sit down for a bit, and that's what I did all morning, just chilled, listened to some of the podcasts that I like to listen to, watched a few YouTube videos and stuff. Then I went out. I've been climbing. I've been climbing up at the depot, bouldering wall. They've been changing the problems they've got up there at the moment. So normally blue, which is the gradient of climb that I kind of can comfortably do, but yet challenge myself. There's none of them there. So I was working on the blacks today, which is the gradient above. I managed to get only the one black done, but I was very proud of myself. You know, it took about 8 attempts. I fell off the wall a bunch of times, had to leave it, go try something else, come back. And you know what, people? I succeeded. I achieved it. I made my dream a reality. I won't really say it was an actual dream though. It's just something that happened. And then I came home. I just been chilling very briefly. My nana's over at the moment. I got my mummy and daddy about, and we just ate a roast. Yeah. I'm just waiting for a bit of pudding. I've had about 4 roasts back to back. Ooh, so I might be burping a little bit on this podcast. It could happen. Unfortunately for you, you can't smell it in it because these are some fine smelling burps laden with the delicious food cooked by my mother's own fair hand. So how are we? How are we doing today, people? I've not really been planning necessarily what's going to go on too much in this week's podcast. I've got a few notes that anyone who was listening last week might know that I decided to save a few topics for this week coming, so I'm going to crack into them in a little bit. I've got a few shout outs to make. Firstly, I want to say shout out to Chris, my guy, who gave me a shout to let me know he's listening from Vietnam. Yo, big up to the whole Vietnam crew, yeah, love to every single one of you, and of course, big shout to Chris, my guy. I'm glad to hear things are going well for you out there, my bro, so take care of yourself, keep on doing what you're doing, you're smashing it in your lane, so lots of love going out to you, my guy. For anyone who's wondering, Safe and Uzman, my guys who've just sort of traveling as well, they've landed in Bangkok now, they are out there, they landed safely. Very thankfully, I was glad to know. I'm afraid of flying. I hate flying. I do it semi often, but I do not enjoy it ever. Apart from that, but yeah, they've landed safely. They do not have the same terror that I do, and yeah, they're out there doing their thing. big up to them, lots of love. I'd also like to just let you know that for anyone who is interested, my cousin Dom, who I've mentioned before on the podcast, won this year's Manchester Young Creative of the Year. It's a clap situation, yo. He's absolutely done the most, and that's for his involvement with his music, with being involved in arts projects at home, and adventure arts. Just been out here, just absolutely smashing the life out of it. He's really inspired me a lot in some of the rate which he's been producing and turning out work. He just writes his lyrics and then he's got a song, he boom, records it, good to go. Upon which note, I should let you know, as you probably are vaguely aware-ish if you're watching this on my YouTube account, as all the videos are going up onto the YouTube account now. I've been releasing some music videos myself recently, which are things that I've been recording here at the same place where I record the podcast, and film and edit the videos myself. They're very DIY. They're kind of humorous. They're quite enjoyable. I enjoy them, so go check them out. They're on my YouTube channel also. I've also been working on another little project which is about to come through to fruition, so I really want to sit down and talk about that for a little bit. Whew, that was one of them. It smells so good. Plus, obviously, I drink a lot of tea. So, when I was having my roast, I decided to drink some Diet Coke instead of drinking just a hot drink. I just wanted a bit of Diet Coke. So I've had loads of sugar, even though they say it's diet and there's less sugar in there, but it's still quite a high percentage or something. Anyway, so yeah, this Saturday coming, Saturday the 24th of November, I've got an event coming up that is for everyone out there, unless you're under 18, in which case it isn't for you. But, patience is a virtue. So the event is called Between the Beats, and it's a community event that I've put together over at the Old Abbey Tap House in Hume, in the M15 area. It's in the middle of Manchester Science Park. It's within very short walk of the 86 bus route, any of the hundreds. It's also a couple minutes walk away from Oxford Road, so any of the 42s, any of the 40s, the 140s, they're all right there. It's close to Asda, Hume, that kind of thing. In the centre of Manchester Science Park. That's the Old Abbey Tap House. And it's a 12-hour event. It's running from 3 o'clock in the afternoon all the way through till 3 a.m. in the night time. And it's going to be absolutely sick. I'm so overwhelmed by all the artists that have chosen to come and get involved. We've got some amazing artists, and I'm going to read you the list, not because I am doing that as a promotional tool necessarily, but because I really just want to give a shout out to every single one of these artists who've chosen to get in touch with me and bring themselves into being involved. So, starting off with this is going to work up the playlist. So, we've got Dominic G, who, as I say, is my cousin, very sick rapper out here doing his thing. Kofi Jamfi, sick poet. He's from my side. He's a dude I've known from primary school. I've known this kid since I was about 5 years old. And it's amazing to see him going, developing as an amazing artist in terms of his music and his poetry. Chia Kali, sick done, very good performer, great guitar player, great singer, really coming through in her own style. Ravi Wimmer, my guy, my bro, known this guy since I was 9 years old, and Ravi's been out of the country for several years now, working in his own capacity. So this is his first gig back in a while. He came over yesterday morning and he was showing me a set, and it is fire. It is fire. If you've seen Ravi before, you know what he does, and he's only improved. If you don't know, you're in for a real treat. Then we've got Eva B, awesome singer. She's really been working on some new music that's very, very sick with my guy Tomonymous. She's got a new project coming soon. I think that's pretty common knowledge. She hasn't put a date out, and I don't know too much about the project, but I know that it's coming and it's going to be dope. So big love to Eva coming through. Then we got Prolific, a guy who is soon to be extremely prolific in this thing. He's a young MC. I've only heard one of his tunes. I've heard him bar quite a few times. Only heard one of his tunes, and it's sick, man. He's got a very good style. Looking forward to seeing him do his thing over a little bit of a longer period. Then we got KJ Top. This dude performed at the, the Inner City Waves event at the Band on the Wall, which I was also part of. I was DJing that night, and I was really impressed. He had the crowd were just loving what he was doing, and I rate that. Just making a note, something I'm going to talk about in a sec. Yeah, KJ, guitar player, singer, plays the keys, pretty soulful. He got kind of a sexy Tomish kind of thing going on, but he ain't just like that. He's got his own thing going on. He's got his own style. Very cool dude, very blessed guy. Looking forward to seeing his set. Next up, O Sapien. My goodness, my lord, are you in for a treat with this young man? Yo, this guy, I've seen him develop him. I probably met him when he was about 13. I don't get it twisted or nothing. I was of a reasonable age at that point, also probably about 17 or so. But when I first met this guy, he's on his poetry, very sick poet. He used to just always have his head down, always just be writing. Now, in the last few years, he's been coming through as such a sick MC. You've seen him probably as part of the Nab Gang, who have put out a great project earlier this year, and just be out here. They played at Leaning earlier in this year. The first Leaning of the year, actually, that we did back in January with Berry Black and Nabgang and El Statico. That was a belting party. Shout out to all the people over at the Pear Hat for helping us put that together. Yeah, O Sapien is a dope rapper. I've shared the stage with him when we supported R.A. the Rugged Man earlier this year as well. That was back in May at Gorilla. Shout out to Bam 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 for putting that on. But he shelled it. That crowd was a very hip-hop crowd. They were there for the real hip-hop style. And this dude, like, we all went in it, but I have to say, I think he probably synced with that crowd most out of anyone, because his understanding, his control, and his just knowledge and dedication to the craft of hip-hop lyricism is insane, man. The dude is so talented. Big love. Next up, we got Rosebud. Another G! Yo, she's an honorary Mancunian now. She's been smashing it up with Leaning quite a few times. First time I met Rosebud, yeah, was back in, what was that squat called? At the Corner House. Is that a Corner House? The cinema squat. And I was in some party there, and I keep hearing these vocals. Yo, I swear down, it must have happened 5 times in the night. I thought that I was just listening to the tune, and then I just clock this woman on stage singing in it. I'm like, yo, this sounds like this is on the tune. The vocals were just so on point. Since then, got to know she's a good friend of mine. Lot of love for the Rosebud. So she's going to be coming through, shutting things down as well. She's got a very sick sort of singing, soulful performance. Then we got Broken Camarilla coming up, I believe. That's my understanding. Broken Camarilla coming up. Either B put us in touch with them. So that consists of Tommy Tickle, who's just signed to some ad hoc records. He's doing his thing. Joey Bricks, who's just won an award for his radio show over Manchester Live. Sio, who can definitely go to the distance. A very creative and fluid MC. And Eva B, who we've touched on already. They're a great group. They put out their project earlier this year. I think it's called a Camarilla tape, I think it is. Hard. Then, of course, what show would be complete without my brother, the man, the myth, the legend, the king, Catharsis. Yo, I've spoke about this guy a bunch of times on this podcast. He's a different level of artist, honestly. Kid Catharsis is a singer, producer, guitar player. He's just released a project, which, as I spoke about last week. If you want to go back to last week's episode 7, I think that would have been, and check out a bit of talk about his album. He's an amazing artist. If you was through at the Leaning we had in July, that was on my birthday. Fantastic event, fantastic affair, and yeah, his set's incredible. He's just gone off and been working on a bunch of new stuff. It's dope. He also features on that Nabgang tape I was talking about earlier, so I'd really recommend you go check it out. If you don't know about my guy, Kid Catharsis, oh Lord, go pre that. Then next up, my crew, the No Space. Are you mad? Yeah, we're coming through. We're going to shut it down. Myself, Tobaja, Black Eyes, Chi Prophecy. We got the Blue. We got the Tomonymous. Boom, 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 boom. Shellers. pure power. We got tunes from the new project coming up to share with you. We got tunes from the old project coming up to share with you. We got ciphers, we got bars, we got songs, we got solos, we got the goods, baby. You know it. We're going to take care of every single person in that room that night. I can promise you that. Just like we took care of O2 Rates, just like we took care of 256, just like we took care of I Do Bits, just like we took care of Millersdale, just like we took care of Buxton, just like we take care of every party, just like we took care of Manchester Live the other week, just like we are going to take care of you this Saturday. Between the beats, I am buzzing to come show you some of the new stuff we've been working on. Then we're going to have a cypher hosted by Leanin'. Don't know. The #1 hip-hop vibe in a Manchester City. No questions. Don't at me. We are the GOATs. No, we are the goons. The GOATs of right now. The Gorms. Bun up a gun, yeah. We are just out here leaning. It's been a little bit, but we're going to come through and put down the absolute discotheque. So every MC, please come shut it down. Touch that mic. Gain yourself a little bit of respect. Nah, we respect everyone. I'm just saying that a lot at the moment, but come through. Going to be banging. Shout to the leaning. After that, we got the Flash Sampson. My guy, Big Cater. I love it when they call me Big Cater. He got the disco tunes. He got the swaggy. He got the swaggy. He gonna make you move like you ain't moved all Sunday, baby girl. Whew. And then finishing off, taking us out, it's my guy, my brother. The last artist I get to introduce tonight is Noel Edge, representing that mighty Taste the Difference crew. This dude is an absolute party machine. Such an encyclopedic knowledge of hip-hop in all of its elements. In terms of the MCing element, the painting element, the DJing element. I'm sure he can bust a move when it comes true to time, do you know what I mean? Of course, he got the knowledge as well, knowledge of self, knowledge of the culture. So I've got to say, I keep nose butting the mic, so if you hear anything, that's what that was. So that's my guy, Noel Edge, man. Love, love, love. It's gonna be bananas. Bananas! We also got some amazing art being displayed upstairs. We've got an art gallery which you can go up and have a look at. Shout out to all the artists who are going to be involved in that. We are also going to be blessed with my guy, Mr. Pete Obsolete, aka Peter Obsoleta, who's going to be doing Illustration Showdown at 6 and 8. If you don't know about Illustration Showdown, it's super dope. It's basically rap battles with art, but you ain't parring each other, you're just trying to best each other in it. So you'll have two artists that and they can be volunteers from the audience. There is no cap on who can be involved. You just sign up on the night, and you have two what they called easels, and we give like a theme. Let's say it's unity, and you take unity, and then you both have 3 minutes to draw a picture in response to unity. Then when we show it to the crowd, I think it's like a crowd decision wins kind of thing. Boom, you go through to the next round. Winner, prizes. Prizes, which you can take home with yourself, bag that up. We're also going to have some amazing stores that are going to be selling things like t-shirts, tote bags, even up to more high-end items such as customized tables and coasters. Some really nice things coming through. Also got to give a huge shout out to my big sister Melissa out here, going to be reading tarot and possibly even doing masseuse or business. Yo, it's going to be a bananas event, and would you believe it, Caveman is taking care of you, yeah, and putting this whole shebang on for merely £2, 2 British pundies. Not even so much as a scran could be purchased for a price such as that. You can't even get a simple bus for the price of 2 pundies. Lord, you gotta be bananas to be missing out. So yeah, that is the Between the Beats event. It's on Facebook now. You can sign up, come through. It's £2 on the door. If you want to slam an extra little something in the bucket, do that in it, but ain't no pressure. It's £2 on the door just to cover every cost, and it's going to be fantastic. That's 3 a.m. till 3 p.m. Other way around, 3 p.m. till 3 a.m. at the Old Abbey Tap House in Hume. Boom. Going to be sick. Going to be absolutely sick. All right, let me see what else we're going to talk about today. I'd like to say, as I'm on the topic of live music, I had a fantastic night out on Saturday. I want to give a huge shout out to my guys over at the Band on the Wall. I've worked closely with the people at the Band on the Wall before. Lovely people, creative, hardworking people with integrity, bring a lot of great music to the city. Big up to all the staff, past and present, over there. Um, we were expecting to have Sean Cootie, son of the legendary Fela Cootie, performing with alongside Agbeko as his support act. Now, this is totally conjecture on my point, but I believe that um, the band were probably denied working visas. That's the only reason that I know of that would have caused what's happened to happen, and what that is that they had to cancel the European leg of the tour, which is really gutting for the people who wanted to go and see an absolute legend. But obviously, Band on the Wall had the night set and they were ready to keep it moving. So, what do you think they did? They kept it moving, and the night became a free entry night, which was headlined by Agbeko and featured DJ sets from SNO and live performance from Not For Many, formerly known as Don Zulu, formerly known as Mayo de Zulu, and I had an absolute blinder of a night. Not For Many has come such a fantastic journey with his productions and really hit a level of really complex, interesting, vibesy, jazzy, grimy, borderline, like down tempo drum and bass, like matters production, and he's a fantastic entertainer, and he totally held it down on his own. Snow, if you've ever seen Snow, again, she performed at the Leaning Vibe that we did on the International Women's Day earlier this year, and she brings it. She only plays vinyl, and she only plays bangers. She got the bangers, banging bangers. SNO. If you ever get the chance to go and see Snow, go and see it. You'll never regret it. She absolutely always delivers the party. And Agbeko, who came through and smashed it. If you don't know about Agbeko, I think they're an 11-piece Afrobeat group. Pardon me though, so I don't know if there's a little change in the tone of my voice and stuff. I've just stopped after the first major course of all that roast. I've just gone and had some apple strudel and some ice and creamer. Not the Haagen-Dazs, just the ice and creamer. It was very nice. So I don't know if that maybe changed my dynamic. Now I'm still full, but now I got the sugary aftertaste. But yeah, Agbeko, the album. I think they've got the album. Yeah, the album's out. The album came out earlier this year, and they just put out a pretty sick single called "Leaders of the Free World." That's Agbeko. Go follow them. Not For Many. NOT. Number 4 Many. They are here too. I'd also like to say, while we're at it, still on this live music vibe, please make it down on the 29th to the Pear Hat. That's not this week, next week. I think it's the Thursday night, possibly the Friday. My guy, my old friend, former collaborator, lifelong ally, Truce, is setting up a new label. It's the Visible Horizons record label launch. If you just search on Facebook, again, Visible Horizons, you can make it down to the EP launch. It's going to be dope. There's going to be Not For Many. Again, there's going to be Snow. There's going to be Miss Indigo. There's going to be a performance from Wabi Sabi. There's a couple of other artists. I don't know all of the artists on the bill, but everyone that I've seen looks like they're of a very high caliber. So yeah, check out the Visible Horizon record label launch that's coming up. I know he's been working on that for a little bit, so please get behind that event, go support it, and when they start putting out their releases, make sure you're copying them, put a little bit of money back into the scene so the artists continue to flourish, survive, prosper and grow in order to contribute further. Yeah, one love to everyone listening to this podcast. Like I say, this is just something that I do. I enjoy it. It's very beneficial for me, as I've said multiple times on the podcast, to just sit and talk. I'd really recommend anyone to do it. Um, I'm gearing up. As of episode 10, I'm going to start inviting some guests in. It won't necessarily be every episode, but I'm going to be getting together with people and having certain conversations and trying to bring a little bit of focus onto some of the artists that I know. But that's not really what it's about. Not just artists, actually, just people of interest to me. But that's not what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? It's really just a place of talking, and I'm not doing this for promotional reasons for anyone really. I'm just trying to speak and trying to be and accept myself, and it's beautiful, man. Beautiful times are coming. So again, that's why I always try and spend a little bit of this podcast talking about well-being and taking care of yourself and encouraging people to check in on themselves and listen to themselves. And I wish you nothing but the best. Truly, I wish nothing but the best to everyone listening. Even if we don't like each other, that's fine, innit? Bless, love, light. Do everything you can in your life that will help you reach a state of happiness. So, in the first episode of the show, I spoke about the new series of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And I was saying, well, the series is off to an instant start. It looks like it could be good. I ain't gonna lie. And it pains me to say this. They don't fell off. Always Sunny is begging it now. I know. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be this guy. I'm not proud of that. I wish it wasn't the case. But It's Always Sunny. It's pretty whack now. Like, obviously, there's always still a good few jokes in it. Those people are funny. They're good at writing. They're good in creating jokes. They're funny. It's always going to be points that are funny. But I just think it's getting too drawn out now. Seems like they're just trying having to conjure things together. It just seems like they've gone a little bit too far now. It's painful. I don't want to say that. I don't want to feel that. But I think for a show that had an identity in 07 and 18, they ain't got their identity no more. I just don't know that they know what to do with the show anymore. So I ain't even checking for the episodes anymore. It hurts because I love that show. Hours on hours I've dedicated to watching that show. So it hurts, man. Woman, person. I don't want this to be the case, but I can only call them how I see them. Words Tupac. I call it how I see it. They ain't putting that work in anymore. They ain't making my butt clench with hilarity anymore. But someone who is come back on a very strong note, and I just watched season 5, episode 2 yesterday. And I believe this is the final episode series. The People Who Just Do Nothing. Yo, I have never spent any time on this podcast talking about this show. This show is dope. It's so funny. I think there's definitely been points where it's been a bit too derivative of The Office, but they are coming now into season 5, which should be the final one, I believe. And it just seems like they've just found their formula, you know. I think they structure so well their series in terms of there being overarching storyline going on throughout the series, yet it's not like just one long narrative and there's breaks and every episode is watchable within its own right. I think they've structured it so well in that regard, and it's just funny. The characters have got so much life to them, so much individuality to each character is different, and I was digging it. I feel like it's the popping. And I was talking to, pardon me, that was another burp. It's funny as I pop in and burped, isn't it? Like, I was talking to Big Niall about this the other day, and I was saying that I feel like The Office and Extras are both two fantastic shows that did 2 series, and it meant they came in, popped, and they were gone. Do you get me? Everyone was like, oh, give us another series. Cool, did another series. Boom, you had your other series done. We'll come back, we'll do a Christmas special, get the chicken nuggets, and then we are outy wouty. You get me? And conversely, something like Friends. I was watching Friends back uh, on Netflix when they put it up recently. And it was pretty compelling to start with. I mean, there's a lot of critique to be given about Friends. Like, there was a lot of very casualized homophobia and sexism. Maybe it was reflective of the time. We have to remember it was a mainstream product, so it's always going to be subject to just the whims of the time, really, and that's not right. Um, but regardless of that, it started dope-ish. By the end, I didn't watch season 10. I was dead bored of it. So somewhere between them, maybe, or maybe it's obviously there's an element of the writer's culpability in this, but somewhere there is a line where I don't think shows can continue to be as good. The Simpsons is kind of coming back up now, I think, but it's pretty commonly accepted that The Simpsons had a bit of a slump for quite a few seasons. I personally think the new series of The Simpsons are getting better. They've entered a new phase, I think, but that's because their initial identity ran out, and they had to find a new one, which I think they've done. I think a Family Guy has has lost its way. Family Guy has lost its way. Maybe they'll find a new one, but I also feel like maybe the buzz is kind of burnt out for Family Guy at this point. A lot of shows over the seasons, and it can happen to anyone, is you just reach a point where it's like, well, what's left to do with the show? What's left to do with these characters? That's why I think it was cool when Skins introduced the new characters for the third and fourth season, and then did it again. I think they dragged it too far, and it ran a line where we didn't really care about the characters by the end of by the fifth and sixth season and stuff. Especially, I did not care about these people, but it was still an interesting way of getting around it. I feel like People Just Do Nothing has consistently improved over the course of the show. And I think bowing out on season 5, having made a pretty major cultural phenomenon, is even like in between the season 3 wasn't as good. But I think that one was maybe based on the fact that a lot of the humor was coming from their age, and as they get older, and the actors were already older than the characters, and it took a few years for each season to come out. So they became disproportionately older than the characters as it went on, and that was season 3 was still funny, still really funny, but yeah, so I say salute to People Just Do Nothing who came through and made a major shake. They were hilarious. I say Chubuddy G is like an iconic, funny character now. He is an iconic, funny character. Like, Grinder's like the main character in it, and he's like the urban David Brent in quite a few ways or whatever. But like, Chubuddy G is like he is an icon, you know. He is an icon for the era. Chubbs is an iconic character now, and that's sick. Though that's very sick. Shout out to all of the human that they put together and the work they done. I love that show. It's super dope. I want to talk about a little project that I was working on last week. Well, it's something that I do consistently. I've often wondered about what the line is for me talking about work on here, because some of the people I work with are vulnerable adults, people in like the care system and the criminal justice system. But I'm comfortable talking about this bit, which is a project that I've been working on called AMP Accessible Music Productions, and it consists of two strands. It's a monthly music project for adults with additional needs, any access needs, learning difficulties, sensory needs. Anyone who identifies as being disabled or having additional requirements is more than welcome to come, and those are free workshops. We also run every few months a club night called House Party, and the last house party's just been. It was pretty dope. We held it at home Manchester. We had a good crowd of the regulars. It would be great in the future. I want to bring in a new crowd, but we had a sick crowd of the regulars. We were doing karaoke. I was DJing. We had people dancing. The bar was popping. Lights were flashing. We had the screen on. We were watching, catching jokes, watching funny videos whilst we were dancing and that. And we were also joined by a sick brother called MC Geezer, who travelled down from London, up from London, and he is a representative of the Death Rave UK collective. So Death Rave, it sounds like they put together musical events catered towards people who are deaf or hard of hearing. A lot of MCs, a lot of sick DJs, and the parties are popping. They've been going for about 15 years now. I think they recently celebrated either 10 or 15 years, which is a huge milestone. Again, I'm going to give another clap, 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 clap. Major respect to that. 10, 15 years in any game is serious legwork to dedicate to it. So huge shout and love to that. MC Geezer is a bassline and hip hop artist. He's just been out there in Indonesia creating work. And he came back and showed us his set, and he smashed it up, man. I feel the death hype. I feel the death hype. I feel the death hype. Let's get right. You feel the death hype. I feel the death hype. We feel the death hype. They gotta get right. And he spits his lyrics and he sign language them also. Super dope. I spoke about a show on here a few weeks ago called Human Bodies or something, Beyond Bodies or something. The show Yozra was in, which was at home again, and it was about and quite a lot of the cast were deaf. It was a mixed cast of deaf, hard of hearing people and non-deaf people, and their British Sign Language interpreter was basically part of the show. I've often seen it in theatres where it's a bit like the late night telly thing where the woman's in the bottom hand corner. Yeah, I've seen that in theatres, but in this instance, he was like, dude was involved. He was basically part of the cast, and that was pretty cool. So shout out to all the deaf artists. At some point, when I've got the financial and technical resources to make it happen, I'd like to start making video versions of this podcast probably, and have it subtitled so that it can be more accessible to people who are hard of hearing. At the moment, I don't have the time in order to create that, and I don't know how to go about making that happen. But big up to everyone. And big up to everyone attempting to and successfully learning British Sign Language, because it's a big deal, in terms of enabling accessibility for just normal conversation, a day-to-day life for people who are, especially people who are like profoundly deaf, to have to be able to communicate with other people. It doesn't always need to be, oh yeah, well, this person, my family, or like my job requires it to be. It'd be awesome to see more people just going out and taking the initiative upon themselves to go and learn the language that enables them to communicate with to a higher degree with people who speak only sign language. One love, one love, one love. I want to talk a little bit about addiction, and I think we as a culture are very down on addicts. I think we are a very addicted culture. I think we're a very addictive culture, especially here in Britain, where I think binge drinking is a very accepted way of spending time. I fed into that. I'm not judging no one. Like I've been a majorly participated in binge drinking. Like only other week I was phone up at the bus stop. I'm not gonna lie. I'll tell you the truth. I'll being sick at the bus stop, yo. That binge drinking, just out here, not practicing good habits in terms of responsibility in the community, taking care of yourself, and just being level-headed and pacing things in a proper manner. Like binge drinking is very negative for the soul, and addiction is very bad for the soul. I have come to see quite a lot how people will talk about crackheads and people who people will say, and I don't use that term lightly, but like if you think someone's being stupid or you don't like them, calling them a crackhead, people seeing people on road with who are having real issues, and we kind of laugh it off, blame it on drugs. We have this cultural thing where we talk a lot about, oh, when homeless people are asking for money on road, oh, don't give it him. He's only gonna spend it on drugs or liquor. Like, so, big man, so are you, innit? So are you. I've literally been rolling about with people before, yeah, and a woman said, yo, could I have a little £2 or something? And this one guy there was like, oh no, don't give her. She's only gonna spend it on, you know what she's gonna spend it on. I'm like, my guy, you've got what in your pocket? You go and shop to buy what now? Eh? I know. You know. So we got to ask, why do we behave in this manner? And I think it's a symptom of othering, which is basically projection. When you deny the similarities between yourself and a person, generally to allow yourself to behave in a wrong way towards that person, or to allow someone else's behavior to be accepted. Othering is a way that we separate ourselves from people, generally people in need. So instead of looking at someone who's might be having a mental health crisis, who might be struggling with, like, always a crackhead, always a pisshead, you get me? It's othering, it's demeaning, it's looking down on people. I also think it's one of the most common traits of an addict, and I've seen many addicts in my work and in my personal life. Is one of the most common denominators between all addicts is there's always a worse addict. There's always, no, I ain't got a drinking problem. He's got a drinking problem. I don't blaze too much. He blazes too much. Yeah, I might get sniffy, but my man gets sniffy twice as much as me. That's a problem. It's also one of the reasons why I think addicts tend to roll around in addict circles, for a few reasons. One is that I think addicts tend to be able to spot each other when, you might not have nothing, but he got something, and so you just be round each other. Another one is that often addiction can cause you to make very, not even necessarily logical actions, but actions which are the only logic is around the provision of whatever it is that you are addicted to, which means that often it's not very fun to chill with addicts if you're not addicted to that thing, because you don't have the same motivation. And three, because when you chill with other addicts, there's always someone else that's worse than you. You can always other it and look at someone like, rah, my man's I blaze, but my man blaze. Yeah, I'm. Yeah, I mean, there's always someone where, even when that probably dances, and often you might be using each other for the same reason, is you both know that you see each other at their worst, innit? That's toxic relationships, by the way. That's a very toxic relationship to have. We live in a culture where we aren't able to be healthy and happy in a lot of instances. For example, I go hiking a lot, in it, but train fares, privatized rail means that if you come from the inner city, it's not cheap to get out to the countryside. Theatre tickets are not cheap. Gig tickets are not cheap. Musical instruments are not cheap. You go to the library, yeah, that's free, but same ways, if you go in looking like a perceived crackhead, then you won't be able to have an easy experience there. There are private security firms hired to make it difficult for you to be there. Do you understand? We do not have a culture which is based on socialized interactions, on having positive spaces. Margaret Thatcher said there's no such thing as society, only an individual and his family, and that's a boss way to look at the world. Straight up, that's a bananas way to look at the world. That's borderline evil in my eyes. And so with our society the way that it is, people don't have many ways to exercise their suffering a lot of the time, and for a lot of people just don't. And addiction can very naturally form out of that, let alone the fact that the UK is entering extreme poverty at this period of time, the fact that the prohibition on many drugs means that working class areas and criminalized activities end up being pushed together, it just spreads. Drug addiction can be something that can be inherited. The vast majority of people who struggle with addiction were subject to, or at least present in, abuse as as children, as young children, especially seeing substance abuse. We don't have an NHS system that necessarily does deal very well with drug addiction as a mental health issue. It's a criminal issue. And hence, yeah, there are lots of people out here who are really badly struggling. We have a homelessness crisis. We have a jobs crisis. People are turning to substances, and it's not even a conscious decision sometimes, but like sometimes that's how you can just relax. You know what I mean? If you're on road, if you're on the street in Manny in the winter and it's 5 degrees on a warm, it's 8 degrees on a warm day, it's 6 degrees on a warm day, let's say, going down to -4, pardon me for the bit, and you're wet, you're cold, you don't have nowhere specific routine that you can go to. You can't get a job because you haven't got a place that you can put as your address, let alone even if you could get an interview because you're probably not wearing the cleanest clothes and such like. And you probably already have mental health problems because that's what often contributes to people being homeless, and that can be inspired more by being in a situation being homeless. That's not to stereotype homeless people or people who suffer with mental health problems, but there is a significant statistical overlap between those two factors. Do you not think you might end up being like, all right, I've got nothing to do today. I have got nothing to do. I've got nothing to do tomorrow. Bust me that cider, let me have a drink. Get the flip out of here. Of course you would. Who wouldn't? People do that anyway and they got jobs, houses. Again, we come back to the case of othering. Othering means that if you live in a house, you are like you're good. You're allowed to drink. You ain't a drinker. You're just having a drink. And this kind of, to my mind, leads me to the conclusion that in a state which is based on capitalism and perception, by having you can buy your value. If you can buy a house and you can have a job, you got kids, you've got a value. You know what I mean? When homeless people don't have stakes in that financial game, they can't do the same things that you do because they don't have the value that allows them to do it. That's why people always want to share stories on Facebook about, oh, this homeless person did this wonderful thing. It's like, yeah, okay, because they've done something above and beyond the normal call of a moral person, now they're allowed to have value. Their extreme morality makes up for their lack of value based on their economic standing. You understand? Othering is very dangerous. It's exactly the kind of game that is played by the financial elite who benefit off the way that we feed into these things and these things that cause us to buy. And maybe I'm even othering that financial elite, but they say there's people who benefit from something, and so that's what it is. Just my thought, but I'd be lying if I said that I'm not right in it. Again, though, if you have an opinion on what I've said, please drop it in the comments below, and I will definitely try and address your opinion in next week's episode of the podcast. I do really want to allow people to be able to communicate. If you feel like there's stuff that happens in the show that you would like to communicate on, or you feel that I'm drastically wrong with, or you agree with me, like let me know, innit? If that's a motivating factor for you. I'm aware that wasn't necessarily the cheeriest way to end on the podcast. So I would just like to say peace. Peace to you. If you're listening in, peace and love to you. Take some time for yourself. Turn your computer off an hour before you go to bed. Don't let no one in the outside world, outside of your yard, communicate with you for an hour before you go to bed. And if possible, do the same thing for an hour after you wake up. It is good for you. It is a good feeling. I don't always practice it, but Lord knows, man, I preach it. It's good for you. It's very good for yourself. Thank you for listening in. I've got a few shows coming up. If you want to come through, just give me a shout. Let me know. Come through on this Saturday if you're about between the beats at the Old Abbey Tap House. I got a gig on Sunday, the 2nd of December, supporting Flow Hio at Yes Manchester. I've got a cheap ticket list for that. If you want to come through, let me know. I've got a little discount list. Shout at me. I've got a gig on the 6th of December at the Carlton Club in Whalley Range with my guy Biggin, who I've spoke about on the podcast before, with our live band The Range. And I've also got a headline gig with my No Space crew at Band on the Wall on December the 16th. That's where you can catch me. After that, I've got more podcasts till the end of the year. Then I'm chilling. Have my Christmas off. Whew, a little bit of time. Also, if you or anyone that you know is interested in coming through to AMP, Accessible Music Productions, the workshops are the first Tuesday of every month. At home, Manchester, they're free. Yeah, I'm kind of tired. I still got a studio to go tonight. I gotta go roll through my No Space crew and get this music made. So I gotta go relax my voice for a little bit, chill. Might even go toilet, absolutely bombard it with some big business, you know what I'm saying? Peace and love, yeah? Have a great week. Apologies for the late upload on today's episode, but you know, things do happen. And yeah, big up, lots of love. Make sure you take a little bit of time for someone you care about. Make a bit of time for yourself. Peace.